So I want to first ask you a little bit about just the promotion itself for people who maybe haven't watched a fight yet. What kind of fights can they expect, and what's the format? Give us like a little bit of insight.
Well, really, the whole thing behind BYB is to push the confrontation, right? Tired of seeing fights end by judges, and fighters working just the points. It's not Olympic style boxing. People love to see. They want to see the knockouts. They want to see a clear winner and resolution, not go to the judges. Then these split decisions where you're like, where did this one judge come from? Well, not so. Our whole thing really is about getting the best of all combat sports. What are boxing fans on their feet, right? When the guys are going toe to toe. And when the referee splits them after a hug that they split, that they're going to go toe to toe again. That's when people are active. Same as in MMA. I mean, I used to wrestle in high school, so I can appreciate some grappling and the jiu-jitsu and all that. And it's cool, but that's a small part of the population. Everybody else is there to see, just like NASCAR. They want to see the wrecks, right? So that's the whole thing. We're trying to put all that by a ring design, being a triangle. It pushes the action to the center of the ring. Right. So if you're not in the center of the ring engaged, you're backed up into one of those corners where you don't want to be, because they are the tightest corners of all combat sports. Being a triangle, it's 360-degree corners. So that's really what it's all about. It's about pushing the action, getting these guys. We call them, they're fighters, boxers, whatever you want to call them. We call them brawlers because you really have to have that mentality. You have to step up and fight. This is not a points, exhibition. There's no place to dance around for. Especially we have 3 minute separates us a lot with other bare knuckle groups that do the 2 minute rounds. After that third minute, we call it the magic minute, right? Because that's where separates the guys that are just trying to survive 2 rounds from the guys that want to finish their opponent. And really that third minute means a lot. You'll see a lot of RKO that last minute of round 1 or round 2. So that's it. We just want to keep the fights going, make them exciting, make them the results in the hands of the fighters. And you'll also notice a good flow of fights. It's like one fight after another. One site's off, we're queuing up the next one. There's intros and we're done. So we want to keep that excitement level, throughout the night and finish with a main event and want people, have people wanting more, instead of a lot of the events that I've been to that it's a fight, 15-minute delay. What are you doing? You chit chat. Oh, the fight's coming up. All right, another 15-minute delay. Before you know it, 5 hours, 6 hours have gone by, and maybe in the old times, but with people's attention span, what it is now, with these little devices that we have, that you're looking at it every 5 minutes, the attention span is 0. So we really want to have fights, not even know, oh wow, another one's coming, so barely enough time to go get a drink and come back.
That's definitely, I think when I'm monitoring things on Twitter, that the number one complaint is, oh my gosh, they're talking again. Oh my gosh, when's the next fight? So that's cool that that's something that you're thinking of, because I know that's a big complaint in MMA. It's just the downtime between fights. And that's true. If you have them back to back like that, then the energy stays. And I noticed that triangle ring. So that was really interesting. I guess it's not a ring. What do you call it? A tri ring? What was it called?
Originally, we did a thing on our social media a few years ago, and we designed the first one, the cage, because we have the ring and the cage. And we had asked for, fans to throw in comments, and we had several. Trigon was one of them. Then we did a poll, a little survey. Hey, what do you want us to call our ring? And Trigon was like by far the leader. So we went with the Trigon, and it's because we do have it as a cage and a ring. The other option was calling it a tring, but that wasn't going to work. Trying.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the Trigon it is, and there's some fighters that rather, they want to use their footwork. They want to dance. They want to jab. They're not really brawlers, right? They're points fighters. So some of them might want to stay away from it. But the guys that just want to get in and bang, they see the ring. They're like, I love it. I mean, there's nowhere for my guy to run. I'm just going to stand and bang. I'm going to move laterally. I'm going to corner. I'm going to try to get him into into one of these corners. But that's really it. It's a fighter's ring. It really is a fighter's, and it's a fan's ring. So that's basically what we designed it for.
So I've noticed over, I would say the last year or two, bare knuckle has really become something that when people were first talking about it, MMA fans were like, no, we don't want to watch that. that's too much, and I think about like,
It
that's what
started.
people, yeah, that's what people thought of MMA. So I thought it was really odd that fight fans were like, no, I can't, how dare they not have gloves? But I'm seeing as time goes on that people are a lot more accepting and they're starting to enjoy it a little bit more. And I'm wondering if there's something that you think maybe switched, or like why you think fans are suddenly more interested, or do you think they always were, they just wanted to pretend they weren't?
Well, they got to go back to the beginning of the UFC when the first, what was it, 6, 7, 8 events were bare knuckle. There was no gloves involved. So that's how really that all got started. Then you got to go back to your individual experiences. All of us that have been out there and have been in, like, Dada said the other day, in a playground fight, in a school fight, in a bar fight, or whatever. We're all bare knuckle fighters, right? Nobody's like, oh, hold on a second, let me wrap up my hands, let me put some gloves on. So you go into it. So, the perception was initially when you say bare knuckle, you're like, oh, that's brutal. You're like, wait a minute, that's how boxing started. The gloves aren't meant to protect the fighter's head, the punched. It's meant to protect the hand of the guy punching so he can punch more and punch harder. So the bare knuckle boxing, what happened was in the old days, because of the injury potential, the fighters would go for a lot of body shots. So it would be, I'm not kidding you, 30, 40 rounds. Some of these fights would go on for hours, and it was just body shots, body shots. So the promoters at that era, back in the 1800s, they wanted to create more headshots. So they started padding the hands. So the misperception that gloves are there to protect the fighters, well, yeah, they're hands. So they can hit harder and more punches of the other guy. Now, our argument has been, when you don't have gloves on, you target your punches more, right? You're not throwing wild punches. You're throwing more straight punches, more jabs, more. So there's not as many wild punches. You're also not throwing haymakers. Some guys do, but you're not throwing the haymakers. So the punches are not as hard as with gloves, with the violence. The boxing glove itself concusses the head when it gets hit. And the number of punches, like in a regular boxing, you'll see punch that number, 600 punches thrown regularly, even more. 400 landed, and out of those, 200 to the head. When a bare knuckle fight, you're going to see maybe 30 punches thrown, maybe 20 some landed, maybe 10 of those to the head. So the number of punches the fighters receive is fewer. We're also 5 rounds, so we're limiting the number of rounds. We do the full. Sorry about that.
No worries.
We do the full 3-minute rounds. But yeah, the perception was bare knuckles brutal. In reality, we're trying to show that, well, I'd rather get punched. You ask any fighter, would you rather get punched in the face with a bare knuckle, or would you rather get elbowed, kneed, or kicked in an MMA fight? They're all going to tell you, I'd rather you punch me than come with an elbow or a kick, which has more velocity behind, power behind it. So, it's a perception, and it's being slowly, people are educating, are being educated on that. We've had great comment group. Sorry, I got calls coming in. We have a great commentating crew with Mike Goldberg and Paulie Malignaggi. We got Al Bernstein, Claudia Trejo, and they're also, with their history and boxing experience, they're educating the fan base as well. And because, they're coming from that world and they're seeing it. And Paulie himself, as a fighter, has said bare knuckle by far is less dangerous than boxing, for the same reasons I mentioned. So it's a slow process, but I just got told they just got to get there and hear that first thump. When the fight starts, you can hear pin drop when that bell rings. And as soon as that first connection is made of skin on skin, that you hear that first thump, whether it's a body shot or a headshot, the whole audience, you hear a gasp, and then it's like, you just turn them on. Wow! People start yelling out. So it's that first thump that you hear, and it's like, wow, it catches your attention. So it's a lot of fun, and it's like fighting outside, just organized in a ring. We got our doctors. Wasn't always that way in the backyard, but back then we did have some doctors and firefighters and whatnot, medics that were available should something happen. But we were really lucky, and Dada was really lucky for many years in the original greenhouse, backyard. But we've definitely elevated the game since then, and looking forward to this next event.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the next event. What can fans look forward to? Is there any fighters that you think specifically people should pay attention to, or any matchups?
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Our main event is is a war between two guys that came from the backyard. So it's really interesting. Rene Rodriguez and Jomi Escoboza. Rene fought in the backyard originally, fought guys twice his size, had an incredible record in the backyard, undefeated. And then Jomi the same way. Jomi didn't have as many fights in the backyard as Rene did, but he also did a few. And so it's good to see these guys that cut their teeth in the original backyard come to BYB, continue to fight. They fought MMA guys, they fought other street fighters, and they've won their way into the final, the championship fight. So it's really interesting because they know each other well, but they've never fought. They never fought in the backyard. And when we started these brackets for the championship, I put them on both sides. I put one on each side on purpose, right? I said, well, if they're going to meet, let it meet for the championship, because again, they are friends. They are in the same camp. So let's put them on different sides, and to see them work their way through, and end up in the championship is really neat. Our co-main event is I'm excited to see Jeff Chiffins, who's fought a couple times for us. He's a warrior. He's also a veteran, U.S. veteran. We're proud to have him on our card again, especially on 9/11. And he's taking on Des Green from the UFC, who's coming back, and that should be an exciting fight. So I'm really excited about that. But I mean, up and down the card, if you look, Sam Liera from California, who took care of Leo Pla at our last event, great form, great technique. He's fighting Carl Jefferson. And we just got a slew of guys. Carlos Lopez, a local guy here from Florida, used to box, took some years off, to raise his family and pay the bills and do other things. Just came back into boxing last year, has done a couple of events with us and been really impressive. But Isaiah Quinones had that knockout, a 20-second knockout that went around the world there on our last event. He's fighting very tough Curtis Stitt. And that's going to be an exciting match because Curtis said Isaiah's been a bully. He's both of his fights. He's taken care of his opponent in 30 seconds or less. And in one fight, he got disqualified. I think in 30 seconds or less as well for being a little too aggressive. So yeah, he has been a bully. Curtis Stitt said immediately after that fight, I got a phone call saying, I want to fight Isaiah. He's a bully. I want to take care of the bully. I hate bullies. Hey, talk to Mel, the matchmaker, and if he puts it together, it's good to go. So we're excited about that. And we just got a lot of young, talented fighters. A little Argentinian, Pablo Caballeros, fought for us twice before. He's undefeated. A guy in his camp, Carlos El Diamante Guerra, as well, taking on John Birdsong. Jose Fernandez. JD Burns is back, who had that impressive fight in BYB 5, where he was actually, I think, had been knocked down twice. One was a headbutt or something like that, but came back in the third round and got the TKO. So it's going to be an exciting night of fights. Stephen Councils, Jordan Mitchell, Carice Archer, which is Derek McGee's part of his camp, and Walla Watson. And then we also have a lot of people in attendance that are coming, some UFC fighters, Bellator, some other bare knuckle guys. The aura about the ring continues to grow, right? Everybody wants to see it. They want to see the fight in it. We're excited about that. And that's why really we want to put our fights out on YouTube and have everybody be able to see it, right? Why put a price tag on something that we think is special? We want just people to enjoy it, to see it. And if everything works out the way it is, there'll be demand to see more fights in the Trigon. So
awesome. And then I guess my final question for you is, obviously, this event's going up against pretty big boxing fight. What do you think sets you guys apart? Why do you think that fans should watch your event rather than Holyfield, his return?
Well, listen, I love Evander Holyfield. I had the chance of meeting him a couple years ago here in Miami. He's a class act. He's a warrior. But the new age of how can I say it politely, of uh, I don't know, these.
You can just say it. We're all thinking it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a polite way to say it, but it's, you know, they can say, oh, the Trigon's a gimmick. Well, you can call it a gimmick, but we actually put thought behind it. There's a result behind it. It's not, we just want to be different. No, we're different because we're basically cutting a ring in half. You know, you've heard the you know, cut the ring in half on your opponent. We've done it for them. So that's the thing. Now, when you start getting these guys and the you know, Logan brothers, they're doing their thing, and you can't blame them. They're out there now. Every MMA fighter or every ex-boxer wants to, you know, get in on it and fight them and make that money. You know, as long as the public is paying for stuff like that, it's going to keep happening. I'm not really supportive of having, you know, some of these older guys come back. You know, I'm concerned for Evander, you know, neurological, you know, he's been a boxing for many years. You know, at his age, back then, taking an impact was something. Now at his age now, taking some impacts maybe a lot more. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I definitely, you know, I'm not looking forward to it. You know, the Mike Tyson exhibition, well, we knew that was going to be. That was going to be an exhibition. They were just going to hit each other a little bit and that. You know, this seems a little bit more than an exhibition. At least that's the way it's being built. But, you know, I just don't like to see the same thing when I was with NASCAR for many years. There's a driver's seat becomes available. The owner has a chance to put a new young talent in there and give them an opportunity to grow, or he can get some driver that was just kicked off another team, but the fans know the name and plop them in there. Unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, the NASCAR team is going to go for the sponsor's sake and grab the old guy that people know his name. And the young guys don't get a chance. Our formula is totally different. We're trying to give these young guys a chance to show their name. We have a guy named Lorenzo Hood, who fought a couple of times for us. He's now at the UFC Contender heavyweight. You know, to give these guys a chance to show their stuff. We don't say, oh, you got to fight only bare knuckle. No. Hey, listen, if you're an MMA or boxer, you know, that's fine. Go do your thing. You know, we're not going to put you in a fight every month or every 2 months. You know, the bare knuckle guys, if they get a cut, they need a little more time to heal. So, hey, 2 or 3 fights a year for us is fine. If you want to do other things, no problem. Just don't do what some of these guys have done, which is they book a fight a week or 2 before another fight, thinking that they're not going to get knocked out, you know, and then all of a sudden, it wasn't supposed to happen. I'm sorry. You know, like fight, we had 11 bouts on this card. We had to drop one this week because one of the fighters decided to fight in Arkansas over the weekend, and unexpectedly, you know, I don't know who got knocked out, but he unexpectedly got knocked out and ruined the opportunity for his opponent, right? So the other guy misses a payday and a chance to show his stuff. So it's not. That's what we try to do, is really to uplift young fighters and give them an opportunity. Now we do have a little mix. We love, like we brought James McSweeney. We had Sergey Caratona, bringing Des Green. So we do want to bring in some experienced guys and challenge the younger guys. That's always interesting. But we don't want to highlight every card with, you know, old timers or retired fighters that, you know, I don't think it's fair for the younger guys coming up that are putting in that time, that working, you know.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'll get this up sometime today.
All right. No, thank you very much. Anything else, let us know.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.